You know, when you're driving in a totally unfamiliar city and you're relying completely on your phone's GPS?
Oh, yeah, constantly.
Right. And you're just blindly following that little blue line on the map, feeling super confident.
Mm.
And then suddenly the automated voice tells you to take the sharp right turn. But you look out the windshield and you are literally staring at a solid brick wall.
Like there's no road there at all.
Exactly. The map says one thing, but reality is showing you something entirely different.
Yeah.
And that feeling of driving straight into a brick wall, that is exactly what is happening to business growth strategies right now.
It really is.
So welcome to a special deep dive for the Conversion Club by BusySeed. I'm your host, and I'm joined by our resident expert today.
Great to be here.
And the title of today's exploration is The Buyer Journey Has Changed. Is your business keeping up?
Which is a very loaded question, honestly.
It is, yeah. Because today we are looking at a single, highly illuminating white paper from BusySeed.
Right. The one titled, How to Show Up at Every Stage Before Buyers Reach Out in 2026.
Yes, that's the one. And our mission for this deep dive is to completely dismantle that outdated idea of how customers buy today.
Because the terrain has completely changed. But, the traditional marketing map has not been updated to reflect it.
No, it hasn't. We want to map out the modern, totally invisible buyer journey so that you, our listener, can stop losing to competitors.
Just simply because they showed up to the party earlier than you did.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. Because most marketing budgets are built on this total illusion.
Yeah, total illusion.
It's this idea that a buyer realizes they have a problem, they Google it, they find your brand, and boom, they buy.
It is a comforting thought. I mean,
Yeah.
We all want to believe that. But that linear funnel is essentially dead.
So search engines obviously still exist, right?
Sure, yeah, search exists, people use them. But being findable in search is just, well, it's table stakes now.
Mm-hmm.
Being recognizable before the search even happens, that is a true competitive advantage today.
Which forces us to look at where buyers are actually making up their minds.
Right, because if it isn't on Google, where is it?
Exactly. And the white paper shares this massive statistical wake-up call from Forrester's 2024 Buyer's Journey Survey.
Oh, the stat is crazy.
It really is. They found that 92% of B2B buyers begin the buying process with at least one vendor already in mind.
92%.
That is essentially everyone.
Yeah, basically the whole market.
So before they even officially start shopping around, they already have a name in their head.
Right. And I imagine that is heavily driven by just the psychology of cognitive load.
Oh, totally, because B2B purchases are complex.
Very complex,
Yeah.
expensive, risky for the person buying.
Yeah, starting from absolute zero is overwhelming, so they lean on familiar names as a mental shortcut.
Exactly. And the consequence of that shortcut is staggering.
Mm-hmm.
The same Forrester survey found that 41% of buyers have selected a preferred vendor before the formal evaluation even begins.
Wait, really? Before it even starts?
Yes. They are not waiting for the official request for proposal process. They're deciding based entirely on early discovery.
Oh, wow. So nearly half the time, the race is over before the starting gun even goes off.
Pretty much.
That completely changes how a brand has to view the modern search bar.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like running a marathon, but the brand thinks the race only starts at mile 26.
Right, when the buyer types their URL into the browser.
Yes. Meanwhile, the buyer has been running for hours. The search bar is no longer the starting line, it is the finish line.
What's fascinating here is how this entirely shifts the burden of visibility.
How do you mean?
Well, if buyers are forming preferences before they search, we have to look at where those preferences are actually coming from.
Right, the early discovery.
Yeah, discovery is now happening in the periphery.
Like where?
It happens when, a buyer casually notices a brand mentioned in a LinkedIn post.
Okay, yeah.
Or maybe they hear a CEO being interviewed on an industry podcast during their commute.
Or a Slack group.
Exactly. A casual recommendation dropped by a trusted peer in a private Slack community.
So they're absorbing all this information completely passively.
Passively, yes, but in environments they already trust.
Which means brands must invest heavily in consistent social content, right? And thought leadership.
You have to. You have to plant the seed of recognition and credibility long before an active need ever arises.
Because waiting until they realize they have a problem and hoping to catch them with a Google ad.
You were already way too late at that point.
Okay, so I see a thoughtful LinkedIn post, or I listen to a great podcast interview and I realize your brand exists.
The seed is planted.
Right, but I am a skeptical buyer.
Sure.
I am not going to just authorize a $100,000 software contract because your marketing team posts clever insights online.
Obviously not, yeah.
So what happens the second I close LinkedIn? How do buyers actually vet these newly discovered brands?
This is where it gets tough for traditional sales.
Because the white paper points to a reality that sounds terrifying for sales teams.
It really does. We were looking at a March 2026 Gartner survey. It revealed that 67% of B2B buyers now prefer a completely rep-free buying experience.
67% want no sales reps at all.
None. They want to validate you in the shadows, far away from your sales team.
And when we say in the shadows, that means they are specifically avoiding the spaces the brand actually controls.
Exactly. They aren't going to your website's carefully curated testimonials page.
Right. To see how great you claim to be.
Buyers know that page is totally biased.
Yeah, obviously.
They are tired of the traditional sales gauntlet. You know, the gatekeeping of pricing.
Oh, I hate that.
The forced 30-minute discovery calls just to get a basic feature list.
It's the worst.
So instead, they are checking independent reviews on sites like G2 or Capterra or Trustpilot.
They are searching your brand name on Reddit.
Yes, Reddit, to see what the unfiltered anonymous opinions are.
Or they are quietly messaging a peer who used to work with your software.
Exactly. They want the raw truth, not the spun sales pitch.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here.
Sure, go for it.
If I am a sales director, this sounds like an absolute nightmare.
Oh, I bet.
If 67% want a rep-free experience and they are relying on Reddit threads and private peer whispers for validation, aren't brands entirely at the mercy of a disgruntled ex-employee?
Or a random internet troll. Yeah.
Right. Does that mean having a dedicated sales team or a polished website is just becoming obsolete?
No, they aren't obsolete. They've just been pushed much further down the timeline.
Okay.
The white paper includes this really insightful quote from Google's Alistair Rennie and Johnny Prothero.
What do they say?
They state, what happens between trigger and purchase decision-making is not linear.
Not linear at all.
Because you cannot participate in those dark social conversations directly, right?
You can't. You're not in their DMs.
So your team's broader digital footprint now acts as your proxy sales force.
Your footprint takes the meeting for you.
Exactly. The individual LinkedIn profiles of your leadership team sharing genuine insights. The technical answers your engineers post on industry forums. The transparent way your brand responds to a negative review on Trustpilot.
That is what does the heavy lifting while the buyer refuses to fill out a contact form.
Yes. You manage the sales cycle by managing your external credibility, not just your internal pipeline.
Which introduces an entirely new layer of complexity.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it is not just human peers whispering in the shadows anymore, is it?
Nope, not at all.
We have to talk about what else the buyer is consuming during this invisible research phase.
The AI element.
Yes. The white paper points out a massive structural flaw in most companies' content strategies, particularly when it comes to AI.
The shift toward AI research is just fundamentally altering this validation phase.
What are the numbers on that?
Well, Gartner found in 2026 that 45% of B2B buyers used AI during a recent purchase.
Wow, almost half.
And on the flip side, the Content Marketing Institute's 2025 report showed 81% of marketing teams are using generative AI.
So AI is heavily mediating this entire process.
Acting as a literal instant research assistant.
Right. But here is the structural flaw the white paper identifies, the content gap.
Yes, the missing middle.
Let's break down that gap. The white paper notes that most brands only create two types of content.
First, they create awareness content.
Which is broad educational material designed to cast a wide net, like, what is X?
Exactly. Then they jump straight to decision content.
The heavy-hitting case studies, strict proof points, FAQs.
Things designed for someone who's ready to sign a contract today.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting, because what is completely missing is consideration content.
The bridge.
Yes. It is content that answers nuanced questions, like what to look for in a next partner, or why most brands struggle with why.
Which is so crucial.
Looking at this content gap, it feels exactly like dating.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Awareness content is making eye contact across the room at a party.
Okay.
Decision content is getting down on one knee and proposing marriage.
A bit of a leap, yeah.
Consideration content is the actual dating phase. And what most brands are doing is making eye contact, skipping the dates entirely, and then proposing marriage.
And they're wondering why they keep getting rejected.
Exactly. You cannot skip the dating
If
phase.
we connect this to the bigger picture, the data backs up why that middle stage consideration content is so vital.
What does the data show?
Well, LinkedIn and Ipsos did this benchmark study in 2025. It showed that brands that combine credibility-building approaches, using video and influence, they are 2.2 times more likely to be trusted and 1.8 times more likely to be well-known by buyers in their category.
You need that dating phase to build the trust required for the final decision.
Furthermore, and this is key, your content must be structured to be AI readable.
Right, because of the 45% using AI assistants.
So that tools like ChatGPT actually pull your brand into the shortlist.
Wait, what actually makes a piece of content AI readable versus human readable?
It is a good question.
Are we talking about stuffing keywords or weird formatting or something else entirely?
It comes down to semantic clarity and structured data.
Okay.
The white paper talks about GEO, generative engine optimization.
Generative engine optimization.
Yes, because large language models like ChatGPT or Perplexity, they do not read a website the way you or I do.
Right. They were looking for clear entity relationships and definitive answers.
Exactly. So if your website is full of flashy graphics with all the essential text embedded in images,
Oh, AI hates that.
or if your blog posts are just full of marketing fluff with no clear feature definitions,
The AI simply cannot parse what you actually do.
it just sees a wall of vague corporate jargon.
Which means the AI skips you. Or worse, it completely hallucinates incorrect information about your product.
Which is terrifying. To be AI readable, your consideration content must be structured logically.
Like clear headings, bulleted lists.
Yes. Defining your unique value proposition clearly. Direct answers to common comparative questions.
Because if a buyer asks ChatGPT, what are the key differences between brand A and brand B? The AI needs authoritative text to pull from your site.
Easily digestible text, yes.
Yeah.
If your content jumps from a vague, high-level blog post straight to a dense, unstructured PDF case study,
The algorithm struggles to synthesize your value.
you miss the shortlist simply because your evidence wasn't formatted for the machine.
So if the AI cannot read your site, then your closing argument never even gets heard by the buyer.
Exactly.
Which leads to the massive question of how to actually string all these fragmented pieces back together.
It is a lot to manage.
We know the journey is invisible. We know buyers have a preferred vendor before they search.
Right.
They are validating in the shadows without sales reps, and they're using AI tools that demand highly structured consideration content. How does a business build an actual revenue-generating engine out of this chaos?
It requires a compounding advantage.
A compounding advantage.
You have to build a full journey system where every stage supports the next, rather than operating in these isolated silos.
And the stakes are incredibly high here.
Very high. Gartner found in 2024 that organizations offering both REAP-led and self-service interactions, they are 3.9 times more likely to exceed profit growth expectations,
Almost 4 times more likely.
compared to those relying on just a single approach.
That proves that showing up across the full journey creates a structural, architectural advantage.
A single channel strategy just cannot replicate that.
No, it can't. The white paper outlines the BusySeed methodology as a prime example of this connected system in action.
It is a great model.
Let's walk through the mechanics of how they actually build that full journey system.
Well, it functions like a finely tuned baton pass.
Okay, where does it start?
It starts at the very beginning with paid media and social media for early discovery.
The goal here is planting the seed.
Exactly. Putting the brand in front of the buyer before they even know they need to search.
And then the baton passes to SEO and GEO.
Generative engine optimization.
Right. Ensuring that when the buyer or their AI assistant begins that invisible research phase,
The brand has an authoritative, easily synthesized presence.
answering those deep consideration questions.
From there, continuous social media engagement and retargeting build familiarity,
Across both the awareness and consideration stages.
keeping the brand top of mind.
And only then do we get to the traditional bottom of the funnel.
Finally, yes, landing pages and lead follow-up systems are strategically placed to catch the intent at the decision stage.
They are designed to frictionlessly convert the opportunities that all this earlier invisible presence works so hard to create.
Every stage hands off smoothly to the next.
But this forces a very uncomfortable conversation about tracking.
Oh, attribution. Yes.
If so much of this journey is happening on a random Reddit thread, Or in private Slack direct messages?
Or via a quick AI summary from Claude or ChatGPT.
Right. How can a marketing director possibly measure if their full journey presence is actually working?
It is the golden question.
How do they justify the budget to the finance department without just blindly trusting last-click attribution?
Because we know last-click attribution is deeply flawed.
It only gives credit to the very last thing the buyer clicked before buying. It totally ignores the months of invisible research.
Moving away from last-click attribution is a critical challenge. But the white paper directly addresses this.
What do they recommend?
They urge brands to focus on broader leading indicators rather than just lagging indicators like form fills.
Okay, so like what?
You have to monitor signals like branded search volume.
Meaning, are you seeing an increase in the number of people typing your specific company name into Google rather than a generic category term?
Exactly. Because if branded search is going up, that means the early discovery phase is working.
They already know your name before they hit the search bar.
You also need to look at direct traffic trends, the velocity of social engagement.
And the growth of independent reviews, right?
Yes. These are the footprints left behind by the invisible journey.
The breadcrumbs.
The white paper strongly recommends a mechanical audit.
A mechanical audit.
Mapping your existing content against these new buyer stages and looking closely at where the momentum stalls.
Oh, I see.
If buyers are entering your ecosystem but not converting, or if your sales team rarely appears on industry shortlists despite having the superior product.
The leak in your funnel is likely much earlier in the journey than you realize.
You have to locate the exact stage that requires investment, rather than just blindly pouring more money into decision stage ads.
Because if you only measure the finish line, you will never understand why people are dropping out at mile 14 of the marathon.
Perfectly said.
Which brings us full circle. Let's recap the core mission we set out to accomplish today.
Let's do it.
The modern buyer journey is no longer a straight, predictable line from a Google search to a sales call.
Not at all.
It is non-linear, it is heavily reliant on early discovery, and it features a massive, invisible validation phase.
Where buyers actively avoid sales reps.
Yes. To win in 2026 and beyond, your brand must be recognizable to the buyer before a search ever happens.
You must be credible and structurally readable when they, or their AI assistants, are cross-examining your evidence in the shadows.
And you must be completely trusted by the time they finally decide to reveal themselves and reach out.
It's a tall order.
It is. So if you feel like your brand's digital ecosystem is missing some of these crucial pieces, you can reach out to the growth architects at BusySeed.
They are the experts here.
They really are. They specialize in mapping your brand's presence across this entire modern journey to ensure you are showing up exactly where it matters.
You know, this whole shift in the landscape introduces one final lingering thought for me regarding the trajectory of these AI tools.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we know from the white paper that 45% of buyers are currently using AI to help make purchasing decisions, right?
Right. Primarily acting as research assistants summarizing data.
But what happens to your business in a few years when those tools transition from being mere assistants to being autonomous agents?
Oh.
We are approaching a reality where AI agents will be authorized to evaluate the market, cross-reference pricing, and actually make the final vendor selection entirely on behalf of the human buyer.
So if an AI is literally driving the car for the buyer and your brand's digital map is outdated?
Right. If your content isn't structured for an algorithm to understand your value.
You aren't just hitting a brick wall, you are getting entirely left off the map in the first place.
Exactly.
Is your brand's digital footprint ready to be judged entirely by an algorithm?
That's the eerie thought.
That is something every business needs to evaluate today. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us. We will see you next time.